Lavrov silences the U.S. media, gives brutal Ukraine history. What? Okay, I wanna watch this. Lavrov gives brutal history of his. Okay, let's go.
For Ukraine.
Look,
The
please,
Europeans say
please,
it's
please.
none of your business.
Kristen,
Let me just ask the question.
Kristen, please, let me give you the brutal history of Ukraine history lesson, please, okay? Listen.
Why? Let me just ask the question then.
Please, let me do this. Let me do the history. Be brutal.
Don't play Zelensky. Look, be an honest journalist.
True, please be an honest journalist. You honest journalist when you are pro-Russian, of course. Spasiba, thank you very much. Order, please, order. Please be a journalist, okay? Don't be bad. Okay, we are about to watch Mr. Lavrov give a brutal Ukraine history lesson takedown. Thank you.
But ask your people to give you some more variety of questions, you know.
You're right,
And
of course.
history is important.
It is very...
Sure.
Make it public.
It is very important, and Mother Russia has never lied about history ever in the history of the world. And if you want objective history, you should learn it from Lavrov or preferably from Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. Of course, yes. Please, thank you.
With the dates, with the addresses, and so on and so forth.
Addresses? Oh my god, now we're doing deep dive history topic. Addresses? I never knew they would be addresses. Now I am all ears.
Can you start a journalistic investigation? Can you demand that the names of the people whose bodies were shown were broadcast by BBC?
I will demand BBC show all the addresses, yes.
I never recall any concern expressed by the media in the West regarding the activities of Ukrainian, because you...
True, Ukraine is evil and Russia is good, and the West never talked about it, no.
Very interestingly what I said. I did not say that I confirmed that incident. I never heard of it. I just asked a rhetorical question. I think I should interview you. The facts of...
I should do the interview, thank you very much.
Hitting purposefully civilian targets are plentiful and they are available.
Oh yes, very much so. It is not a Ukrainian city that is bombed every single day. It's actually poor Russians suffering. I guess I just imagined all those times when I was in Kiev and there was bombing and drones, and when I was in Kharkiv and there were drones, explosions and stuff.
In the information which we are circulating to the international community.
Mr. Foreign Minister, what about your actions, Mr. Foreign Minister? Has President Putin committed to a one-on-one meeting with President Zelensky?
Yeah, in Moscow somehow. Because that is the best idea. To which, rightfully so, Zelensky said, no, actually, let's meet in Kiev and let's see what happens.
Well, those are the speculations which are being spread by, first of all, Mr. Zelensky himself and his European sponsors. Discussed in Anchorage. It was raised later as something which is kind of impromptu, appearing from the meeting in Washington between President Trump and his guests. President Putin received the call of President Trump after that meeting, and he clearly stated that we are.
Let's see the comments. Did you have a good sleep? Actually, yeah. I always look forward to hearing from what Mr. Lavrov has to say. Wise, considerate, educated, discerning, and loyal to his country. He remains a true statesman, a model to everyone. Bravo, sir! Oh my god. A history lesson. Oh, I want to hear the history lesson. I so want to hear the history lesson. The painful history lesson. My goodness. Okay, let's see.
Ready to continue the negotiations, direct Russian-Ukrainian negotiations, which started in Istanbul and already had 3 rounds convened there. And he said that meetings at the top level, the summit meetings, especially between the leaders of Russia and Ukraine must be very well prepared. So preparatory process.
So that is why we must buy and stall again and buy more time so that we can bomb more Ukrainian cities and do more damage. Because we don't really want peace. We just want more land. Thank you.
Must be agreed. And for this, we suggested to raise the level of delegations who were meeting and will be meeting in Istanbul to address specific issues which need to be brought to the attention of the President Putin and Zelensky.
Like what specific issues?
And those issues relate both to humanitarian, military,
Yes,
and
those poor Russian speakers that Russia bombs every day.
to political matters. Last time our delegations met in Istanbul, we suggested to create 3 working groups, including on political matters. More than 1 month passed already, there is no response from the Ukrainian side. And when
Of course, those evil Ukrainians, no response as well, of course, as always. So, Russian history is very deep and base, and Ukrainian history is made up and gay and woke. Top diplomat Lavrov, of course. I mean, we're still about to hear that lesson. I like the way people with accents pronounce English words.
Mr. Zelensky says the immediate priority is my meeting with Putin, well, it's basically a game. A game he is very good to play.
Yes, everybody is playing games. Everybody is playing devious games apart from Putin, the KGB goon. Putin is the only person who is not playing any games at all. The only transparent and honest actor.
Because he wants theatrics in everything he is doing. He does not care about substance.
Yes, because Putin cares about so much substance. That is why he refused to answer any journalist questions. That is why he basically just talked some nonsense about how US and Russia are friends and how next time in Moscow.
And it is not by chance that now they try, I mean the Ukrainians and the Europeans who attended the
evil Europeans
meeting in Washington, they try to distort what was discussed in Anchorage between President Trump and President Putin.
Yeah, giving up Ukrainian territory. You try to distort Mother Russia getting what it deserves.
In particular, the security guarantees.
Yes, those evil security guarantees.
I read some Bloomberg reports yesterday and today saying that the negotiations between US and Russia on security guarantees for Ukraine have been in fact undermined because of the demands by Moscow to include the principle of indivisible security. It's a very telling statement.
Yeah, because indivisible security in the way Russia understands it means we can invade anybody we want. We can just invade all our neighbors, steal territory from them, and it's in the name of our indivisible security. Thank you. Georgia, Ukraine, Moldova, Chechnya, that just doesn't exist at this point anymore. Who knows? The sky's the limit. It's our turf.
Security is something which was enshrined in many documents adopted.
Yeah, also there was, integrity of Ukrainian borders were enshrined in some documents at least one document enshrined Ukrainian border integrity. But I guess we only selectively care about documents and what is enshrined in them.
By consensus at the summits of Organization of Security and Cooperation in Europe in particular.
So I guess who cares, right? Who cares if it's enshrining the integrity of Ukrainian borders?
In Istanbul in 1999 and in Astana.
When was the Budapest Memorandum? Where was that with the Budapest Memorandum? I'm pretty sure it was before 1999, but maybe
2010. This principle goes like no one can strengthen his security at the expense of security of others.
Yeah, exactly. Too bad that Russia wants to strengthen its security at the expense of all of its neighbors. I guess we're just gonna ignore that. We're gonna ignore the fact that Russia literally wants to strengthen its security at the expense of every single one of its neighbors. But I guess it only counts when, when Russia feels threatened. But the other way around, it doesn't matter at all, in the slightest.
No organization in the European space can pretend to dominate in
literally, how can they invoke the whole principle of not being able to strengthen security at the expense of other countries when they say that the invasion of Ukraine is dictated by security concerns, which directly violates the principle of not strengthening your security at the expense of the other. Oh my goodness.
military and political matters, and NATO has been doing exactly the opposite. So when we are accused that
Yes, NATO has been doing exactly the opposite by refusing Ukraine time and time and time again.
The principle of indivisible security, we are undermining the process of negotiations between
Yes, the painful history. We are being taught the painful history.
US, Russia, and Ukraine. This means that the people
Russia's security has not gotten better over the course of the war, says an Entropy fan. What do you mean?
admit that they want
Admit.
divisible security, that they want security built for Ukraine, which is being discussed now, but built against Russia.
What the fuck does that mean? That's an empty statement. Oh, you want Ukraine to be secure? Well, that's against Russia. Take that.
Those discussions which took place
Well, of course it's against Russia. Russia is waging a genocidal war against Ukraine. No doubt it's against Russia at the moment.
yesterday, after the Washington meeting, they clearly indicate that people see security as only security for Ukraine, and they are prepared.
Well, yeah. Who is exactly Russia being threatened by? Is NATO going to invade a nuclear power? Yeah, of course it's going to happen. Yeah, sure.
to send intervention force, occupying force.
Occupying force. Russia is going to lecture countries about occupation. Russia is going to unironically lecture other countries about occupation forces.
To the Ukrainian territory to
Yes, the
deter-
peacekeeping force is an occupation force because we are living in the reverse world.
Russia. They don't conceal that this is the goal, and this is not the way to.
What's the goal?
Don't territory to deter Russia. They
To deter Russia from doing what? Can you tell us, Mr. Lavrov, what is Europe trying to deter Russia from? Could it be that it's from conquering Ukraine, from exerting influence over Ukraine, from making Ukraine your territory?
don't conceal that this is the goal. And this is not the way to handle the situation. President Putin and President Trump in Anchorage discussed the security guarantees, and President Putin recalled that in April 2022 in Istanbul, during negotiations,
Yeah, Russia demanded that Ukraine completely disarms, forfeits any sort of alliances, becomes neutral, and basically hopeless in front of Russia, because that is totally not Russia guaranteeing its security at the expense of the other. Totally not.
initiated by the Ukrainian side very soon after we started our special military operation.
Special military operation.
During those negotiations in April in 2022, Ukrainian delegation presented a draft principles to reach a treaty, to reach agreement on ending the war. Those principles were initialed by both.
Oh yeah, and of course Russia wanted territory as well. Let's not forget that Russia also wanted territory.
Delegations. And as regards the security guarantees for Ukraine, those principles proposed by Ukrainian delegation, I underline this once again, they provided for creation a group of guarantors. This group containing of permanent members of the Security Council, Russia, US, China, UK, and France, Plus, they mentioned Germany, Turkey, and any other country which would be interested to join this group of guarantors. And guarantors would be guaranteeing the security of Ukraine, which must...
Yeah, just like during the Budapest Memorandum when Russia was guaranteeing the security of Ukraine, and look where we are now.
be neutral, which must be non-aligned with any military bloc, and which must be non-nuclear.
Yeah, Ukraine became non-nuclear thanks to the Budapest Memorandum that was supposed to, guarantee its borders.
Mr. Foreign Minister, we are going to get to the security guarantees. We're going to have a big conversation about that. But I just want to stick to this idea of a one-on-one meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky. It's not just Zelensky saying it. The White House says President Putin told President Trump he's willing to meet.
Oh no, the reporter is so rude. It's a peacekeeping, non-interventionist, occupying liberationist force. Yeah, take that, West. That's how all things are now. True.
Face-to-face with President Zelensky.
You're right, Vladimir.
And I guess the question is, how can you claim to be serious about a peace process when you can't tell me directly, is President Putin willing to meet with President Zelensky? Is that
Oh no, so rude. What a rude reporter. Oh my goodness.
the plan?
Look, I hope that those who are interested in what is going on around Ukraine, they follow the statements of President Putin, especially when they try to see some wrongdoing on our side. President Putin repeatedly stated that he is ready to meet with President Zelensky. And actually yesterday at my press conference after my meeting with the Minister of India, I repeated this, that he is ready to meet with President Zelensky, provided this meeting that actually Putin repeatedly stated to see they follow the statements of President Putin, especially when they try to see some wrongdoing on our side.
There's no wrongdoing on Russia's side. What do you mean? Wrongdoing on Russia's side? That does not happen.
President Putin repeatedly stated that he is ready to meet with President Zelensky. And actually yesterday at my press conference after my meeting with the Minister of India, I repeated this, that he is ready to meet with President Zelensky, provided this meeting is really going to decide something. To meet for Zelensky to have another opportunity to be on stage is not what we believe is useful. We are not against him playing games and playing various shows, but it is not going to resolve the issue because he publicly stated that he is not going to discuss any territories, thus challenging President Trump and other American colleagues who stated the territorial issue must be on the table. He clearly stated that nobody can prohibit him from joining NATO, which is again categorically challenges.
I mean, no, you cannot just prohibit a sovereign country from joining any. No.
President Trump was saying, and quite a number of other things. He also said that he is not going to restore the rights of the Russian-speaking people and
the Russian-speaking people don't have rights taken away from them. This is nonsensical bullshit.
Legislation which was passed long before the special military operation, starting from 2019. A series of legislation was passed in Ukrainian parliament prohibiting Russian language, exterminating Russian language.
Yeah, that is why Russian language is so exterminated now. I guess I'm just imagining hearing it every single time when I go to Ukraine, everywhere.
Russian culture, Russian education, Russian media, and canonic Ukrainian Orthodox Church.
Yeah, because it was cooperating with Russia during the war. Also, why should Ukraine promote Russian culture?
So when he said that I don't give a damn about what you are saying, what President Trump believes must be a part of the solution, but I am ready to meet just to do what? So if we are all going to be concentrated on imaginary effect. It's not what diplomacy is about. It's what the showmen normally do with pleasure. So my point is
bottom
that
line,
President
there's no meeting
Putin said
planned.
clearly that he is ready to meet, provided this meeting.
Yes, President Putin is ready to meet, provided it's in Moscow and that Ukraine surrenders. Thank you very much.
Is really going to have an agenda, presidential agenda, not an
So
agenda.
that's a big if. There's no meeting planned, Mr. Foreign Minister. That's a big if.
Presidential
You're saying there's
agenda.
no meeting planned right now.
Kristen, I'm awfully sorry, you're not listening. There is no meeting planned, and I'm not challenging this. But you cannot, I think, understand what I am saying. Putin is ready to meet with Zelensky. When the agenda would be ready for a summit. And this agenda is not ready at all. President Trump suggested, after Anchorage, several points which we share. And on some of them, we agreed to show some flexibility. When President Trump brought those issues to the meeting in Washington, with Zelensky present together with his European sponsors, he clearly indicated, it was very clear to everybody that there are several principles which Washington believes must be accepted. No NATO membership, including the discussion of territorial issues.
In other words, to give us all the territory, and also please, thank you very much. You must, please, thank you, give us territory.
He said no to everything. He even said no to, as I said, to canceling legislation prohibiting the Russian language. How can we meet with a person?
Yes, the Russian language is so prohibited in Ukraine. It's shocking, really. Oh, the internet died? Oh. Okay. Okay, now it works, I guess. It works now. There you go. Poor Russian speakers. So forbidden from using Russian in Ukraine.
Is pretending to be
That's right, Lavrov. Knows the meme. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Leader,
True.
the leader of a country,
That's
which is the
true.
only country on earth who had prohibited a language.
Okay, first of all, Ukraine is not a person, so you cannot say who. Second of all, Ukraine has not prohibited Russian. That's ridiculous. That is such a ridiculous claim. I hear Russian every single day when I'm in Ukraine. Every single fucking day. And you claim that it's forbidden, that it's prohibited. What a joke.
Mentioned that this is one of the official UN languages. In Israel, Arabic language is not prohibited. In Palestine and other Arab countries,
Yeah,
Hebrew
Russian is not prohibited in Ukraine. What a joke of a statement.
is not prohibited. But Ukraine does whatever they believe is necessary to promote the Russophobic nacist agenda.
Yeah, all those nacist agendas. Okay, of course.
And the West, who is normally crazy about human rights when they discuss anything anywhere, but in relation to Ukraine,
Those poor Russian speakers that are being bombed by Russia every single day, by the way. Kharkiv has a lot of Russian speakers, and yet they're being bombed anyway. Whoops. All of the eastern parts of Ukraine are being bombed every day, full of Russian speakers, but I guess Russia doesn't care.
the words human rights were never used during those years after the coup in 2014.
Ah, the coup. Of course. I forgot about the coup. The
So,
coup.
Mr. Foreign Minister, let's keep
He is ready
moving.
to meet.
Let's keep moving. 'Cause
But no, we
The
cannot
coup.
meet just for him to have a picture and to say that now I am legitimate. Legitimacy is another matter because
What about the coup?
perspective of when this meeting might take place, and it must be very well prepared. The
Yes,
issue of
yes.
who is going to sign the deal on Ukrainian side is a very serious
So you're
issue.
saying you don't see President Zelensky as the legitimate leader of Ukraine? President Putin doesn't recognize him as the legitimate leader of Ukraine?
No, very
Nope. Russia does not. That's right. No, it was after the coup and there is no election. So no.
recognize him as de facto head of the regime.
Yes, Ukraine has a regime and it's a dictatorship as opposed to the healthiest of democracies on the planet Earth, Mother Russia, of course.
And in this capacity,
What a
we
joke.
are ready to meet with him. But when it comes to signing legal documents, now you want to have the entire picture, just part of it, which suits you.
Yes. It's a dictator of a regime. And if we are to sign anything, honestly, then maybe with Viktor Yanukovych, I think, yes?
When we come to a stage when you have to sign documents, we would need a very clear understanding by everybody that the person who is signing is legitimate. And according to the Ukrainian constitution, Mr. Zelensky is not at the moment.
No, that is false.
Okay, well, he is the democratically elected president. Mr. Foreign Minister, let's keep moving. President Trump told French
Unlike Putin, who is a democratically elected president.
President Macron this week, quote, "I think Putin wants to make a deal for me." Is that accurate? Does President Putin want to make a deal for President Trump?
Oh yeah, of course.
Well, I would not go in this semantic, exercise. President Putin was invited by President Trump.
Semantic
He
exercise, of course.
Alaska, they had a very substantive meeting
They have a nice date.
in Anchorage. They discussed the practical way, not just who is going to meet whom and what kind of broadcasting would be provided. They discussed.
You're right. We have discussed very specific things. We have discussed the partitioning of Ukraine, which is a serious thing.
Real things.
Yes, exactly. Real things like, splitting up Ukraine between ourselves.
Regarding security, the violation of Russian security interests was one of the root causes of what has happened.
Bullshit.
And this relates to many years of
I mean, the reality is that all neighbors of Russia violated security by the sheer goal of existing independently of Russia. So I guess that tracks.
lies when we were promised
Hello, lettuce. Just the sheer goal of the neighbors of Russia daring to exist and be independent of Russia. That is a security risk. That is true.
starting from 1990, and then many times we were promised that NATO would not be expanding. And the OSCE summit documents, which I quoted, said in the past, and nobody canceled it, that no organization must claim superiority in Europe, and NATO has been doing exactly the opposite. So
Yeah, NATO has been the opposite by refusing Ukraine time and time again.
the security guarantees which Russia presented several times in 2000.
Yes, give us territory. Ukraine must have no army. Ukraine must be neutral and ready for invasion. Thank you. That is the security guarantee that Russia absolutely must have. Thank you. Also give us territory once again. Thank you.
Suggested to sign a pact between Russia and NATO, and
pact.
It was
A partition pact.
ignored. In 2021, before we had to take a decision on launching the special military operation, we suggested two treaties, one between Russia and the United States and one between Russia and NATO.
Interestingly enough, no treaty between Russia and Ukraine was proposed, even though there was a war raging between Ukraine and Russia. It was not a full-scale one, but there was still conflict in the east.
This was also ignored in a very, I would say, arrogant way.
Yes, everybody's arrogant against poor Russia. Russia is the victim on the world stage as always. Thank you.
Blinken, who was Secretary of State at that time, told me when we met in Geneva in January 2022, he said, forget about this, we can discuss some limits on the weapons which we, the West, would supply to Ukraine. But NATO membership is not for discussion with anybody. When I told him that this bluntly violates the principle of indivisible security, he said
Again, Russia's security rests on screwing over all of its neighbors. So what kind of indivisible security are we talking about? If Russia, in the name of its security, invaded the East and Donetsk and, Crimea.
Indivisible security in OSCE is political declaration. But political declaration signed by the leaders, I think is something which just out of
So I would say that Russia treats indivisible security very, very one-sidedly, arbitrarily.
Out of diplomatic and political decency, you have to respect.
Okay, and Mr. Foreign Minister...
We're talking about a decaying dictatorship that would implode into rise if its direct neighbors were to prosper, says an Entropy fan. I suppose so.
We have a lot to get to, so I do want to keep moving. Just this week, Russia bombed an American-owned factory near the Hungarian border. I've spoken to people who frankly see that as a slap in the face to President Trump, to the entire peace process, isn't it?
Is it?
Well, I would say that those who are sincerely interested in understanding what is going on,
I am, yes.
Should know by now.
But I don't think you will sincerely learn it from Russia. Just, spoilers. You will not learn what is sincerely happening from... Jesus Christ. My God. My goodness.
But never ever
Russia
deliberately targeted any sites which are not linked to military.
Bullshit. Oh, but such bullshit. Yeah. Because the subway station next to very close to the apartment that I often stay in Kyiv, that was part of the military, like the vegetable market. The vegetable market in Odessa, that was such a military target. Yeah, Russia has totally never targeted objects that were not directly linked to the military. Oh, what about the Children's Cancer Hospital that I one day heard being bombed when I was hiding in the corridor during a raid siren? That was also a military target, I suppose. Yeah, you're right, Lettuce. I should trust this young, handsome chap. What the fuck?
Abilities of Ukraine.
It's an electronics factory, though, sir. This is...
Yeah, we like the children in the cancer hospital were manufacturing missiles and they were building drones, and we had to put a stop to that nonsense. What about all of the, maternal wards that were bombed by Russia? That was also a thing. Okay, those kids were Hamas, that is true. The Ukrainian equivalent.
I've spoken to people on the ground there. It builds coffee machines, among other electronics. This is not a military site.
Well, I understand that some people are really naive, and when they see...
Wait, what?
Coffee machines, among other electronics. This is not a military site.
Well, I understand that...
Very naive when you say we attack children's cancer hospital. I say we attack a military base. You are very naive, okay? Please stop.
Really naive.
Yes.
They see a coffee machine in the window, they believe that this is the place where coffee machines are produced. Our intelligence has very good information.
Yes, our intelligence has deemed the cancer hospital to be a high security risk manufacturing plant for nuclear weapons. Okay? We had to dismantle. What about that shopping center in Kharkiv where a bunch of people died? Well, that was also a military base, of course, yes.
And we target only, as I said, either military enterprises, military sites, or industrial enterprises directly involved in producing military.
Yeah, the human safari in Kherson, that is also just targeting military facilities, military personnel exclusively, and you know, it's all just military. Vladimir says, actually those veggies were imported from Europe and they were threatening Russia's food security. That is true. That is a good argument that I have not even thought of.
Equipment for Ukrainian
Yes,
army.
yes.
And on the contrary, I never recall any concern expressed by the media in the West.
Yes, it is in reality Ukraine that just targets civilians on the daily, of course, yes.
The activities of Ukrainian armed forces, when they, for example, in the Kursk region,
The Kursk region.
When they invaded it one year ago, there is no military targets at all. All the targets which they have been hitting daily are civilian.
Yes, there were civilians killed by the thousands in Kursk.
By the way, took civilian hostages from there who had nothing to do with
Yes, the famous the hostages. Ukraine is literally like Hamas, taking hostages.
the conflict. Recently, they undertook the third attempt to blow up the Crimean bridge. They attacked
Good.
a few days ago another nuclear power station. They used to attack the one in Zaporizhia. Now
Evidence?
they attacked the nuclear power station in Smolensk, and they
Evidence?
continue to do this. They continue to exercise terrorist attacks.
Yes,
There's
of
no
course.
other way,
Of course.
to call them. So,
Mr. Foreign
but
Minister?
if you believe that if there is American,
If you believe that we attack civilian targets, you are stupid and naive. I guess I'm stupid and naive, and I just cannot believe my eyes and ears when I'm in Kiev and other places, and you know, there's drone attacks and bombing going on.
capital,
I guess I hallucinate these things when they happen. Maybe it's just Ukraine bombing and droning itself and using anti-air against itself.
an enterprise which is used to produce weapons to kill Russians, and you believe that, be it American, be it Hungarian, be it
Yes. It's the Ukrainian military complex industry via cancer hospitals.
anybody's capital, that this is this gives impunity
What a
to
joke.
those who build weapons to kill us? I don't think so. I don't think this is.
And
this
also the Polish embassy that was also infamously hit. I guess that's a weapons manufacturer as well.
is fear. This is
It's because Russia doesn't take hostages. No, Russia just famously kills prisoners of war, so they can't really be hostages now, can they?
of, I would say, imperialistic.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a joke. Really?
Yes, Mr. Foreign Minister, just to confirm, you are confirming that Russia did in fact target and attack the American-owned company that was hit this week.
Look, yes, of course. We were defending ourselves against the military complex.
You should be professor in the Soviet universities, because you twisted very interestingly what I said. I did not
Yes, you have twisted all the facts like a pretzel. This interview is being done so that pro-Russia grifters, crypto-fascists, and saps will have things to clip, says an Entropy fan. Oh, and I assure you I will get a lot of...
not say that I confirmed that incident. I never heard of it.
I never heard of any incidents.
I just asked a rhetorical question. Do you believe that if there is an enterprise producing weapons and being part of the Ukrainian military machine, intended to produce things to kill Russian citizens. And just because this enterprise happened to have some American capital in it, it should be immune? That was my question.
Just because it's a hospital for cancer, should it be immune? Just because it's a maternity leave, should it be immune? Just because it's a subway station, kindergarten, should they be immune? No, of course, they produce weapons. They are military targets.
I have not heard about the episode, and if you can send me some reference to this incident to which you referred, I would look at it.
Total War remembering? I guess so.
Okay, Mr. Foreign Minister, President Trump says he thinks President Putin wants to end the war. But
What a joke. Of course he doesn't.
if you are serious about peace, why not stop dropping bombs? Why not agree to the ceasefire that President Trump has asked you for?
No, I'm asking, what do you mean by that? What do I mean by what? Oh, Total War remembering. Ah, yeah, you mean the title. We're going to be talking about the total war that Nazi Germany waged against Poland, Warsaw specifically. We're going to do a little bit of a historic segment about that. We're going to be talking about the Nazi occupation of Warsaw as well, while we're at it. He's so sweaty, true.
But we are dropping bombs. We come again and again to the same issue. We are dropping bombs on the targets which are directly involved in building Ukrainian military machine.
Yeah, like children, cancer hospitals, like maternity leaves, like kindergartens, shopping malls, subway stations, and other things that are famously used to build the Ukrainian war machine, of course, and not to mention the Kherson human safari that is also a necessary component to hinder the Ukrainian war machine, of course.
Targeting the Russian civilians and continuing.
Yeah, the grandma in Kherson is targeting Russian civilians, or the little kid, or a guy that goes out with his dog. All of these things are targeting Russian civilians, and on the regular. This is why I have to be targeted with drones.
The war which Ukrainians started by instigation from Biden administration.
Ukraine has started the war. Okay, now this I have to hear again.
By continuing the war which Ukrainians started.
Oh, Ukraine has started the war. Okay. Yeah, that is actually brutal Ukraine history lesson. Okay. All right.
By instigation from Biden administration, from the Europeans, those who supported the coup in 2014 and later was doing everything to turn Ukraine in an instrument to contain Russia, and lately, a few years ago, it was announced that Ukraine is an instrument to inflict strategic defeat on the Russian Federation.
Yes, it's all coming together. It makes so much sense.
So when I
Ukraine started the war.
give the examples of what we are doing, and this has been explained repeatedly, if you can
Yes, we have explained this repeatedly.
provide us a proof that we hit any civilian target.
Are you fucking kidding me? What? Is he actually unironically saying that the children's cancer hospital was not a civilian target?
Without, indiscriminately, a target not linked to the military machine of Ukraine.
Oh yes, children's cancer hospital is famously linked to the Ukrainian war machine.
We would be looking into this, but the facts.
It's human safari. That is all I need to say. Human fucking safari. What now? Are you gonna look into it? Of course not.
The facts.
There's a long list. Okay, the evidence is long. Russia itself documents the evidence of its war crimes. Okay, Russia documents its own war crimes proudly and puts hype music over it.
Of Ukrainian, I think I should interview you. The facts of Ukrainians hitting purposefully civilian targets are plentiful. And
Oh yes, yes, plentiful. And also Ukraine has started the war. And there are people that gonna eat this up. There are definitely people that are going to eat this rhetoric up, and they're gonna eat it up and propagate this. Also, press like on this stream. Okay, press like. There's like 10 of you and 4 likes, first of all. Second of all, go to lucyhaze.org/live because that's the way. This is the way.
available in the information which we are circulating to the international community.
Mr. Foreign Minister,
I would like this journalist to actually list all of the very much not military targets that Russia has targeted. And the human safari, of course.
here are the facts. Close to 50,000 civilians have either been killed or injured in this war. Russia has hit maternity wards,
Yep, maternity. Thank you, God.
churches, schools, hospitals, a kindergarten just this past week. So either the Russian military has terrible aim or
Yeah, or all these things are linked to the Ukrainian war machine.
you are targeting civilians. Which is it?
Look,
Don't you understand that they are all producing tanks and missiles? Don't you can see you are so naive?
NBC is a very respectful structure, and I hope you are responsible for the words which you broadcast. I ask you to.
I literally heard it with my own ears when I was in Kiev. The children's cancer hospital being hit with a missile.
Or to publicize the information to which you just referred, because we never targeted the civilian targets of the.
Yeah, of course. The subway station that was damaged, all those civilian blocks that were damaged, all those people that were killed. That's all just my hallucination. You know, when Phil and Burns went to Odessa and filmed children being taken from under the rubble in Odessa, that was just hallucination as well, I guess. Just again, the historical vegetable market that was targeted by Russia in Odessa. That was just, that was a military base secretly. It was just a couple of thousand oopsies. Come on, you wouldn't hit a birthday boy with glasses. True. You're so right, Lettuce. They did attack Chernobyl, yes. Wow.
The kind you cited. You might be mixing, the information because...
Yes, you might be mixing information and you might actually be thinking of poor Russians being attacked. You must correct your record, please. Thank you.
The fact that quite a number of churches were purposefully hit by the Ukrainian regime, quite a number of just civilian settlements.
Okay, provide evidence.
Human settlements.
But what about your actions?
Human settlements.
What about your actions, Mr. Foreign Minister?
What actions? We only attack military base.
Look, we're going by circles. I told you already what we mentioned repeatedly, that we never target civilian sites. That we only attack the sites which are directly involved in the Ukrainian military machine.
Yeah, like hospitals and kindergartens.
Which the West is trying to beef up. And
yeah, like, those civilian blocks that get blown up.
If you have...
What a fucking joke. This is not even funny. Cannot find this even funny. This is just...
Any proof of what you just said about churches, kindergartens, schools, and so on and so forth, I challenge you. Make it public.
Sure.
It already been made public 1,000,000 times over with evidence provided. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
Make it public with the dates, with the addresses, and so on.
It has been made public as it was happening, you idiot. Well, not an idiot. It's just... This is disgusting. That's not how that works. You still can't target a factory making bedrolls for soldiers. Well, whatever, says Lettuce. Yeah, but I highly doubt that a cancer hospital for children creates bedrolls for soldiers. war crimes don't mean anything anymore. I guess so. I guess they do not. Fuck me.
and so forth.
I guess they
As
do
I
not.
said, it's NBC is a very reputed broadcasting agency.
Yes, a very reputed agency. You must understand that Russia is the victim and Ukraine started the war. Thank you. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I understand.
Absolutely. It's all publicly,
your
Mr. Foreign
listeners
Minister, it's
and
all
watchers
publicly documented,
deserve
and we
to
have
have
It is publicly documented. What a joke.
on
some
the ground who've
specific
seen it with their
information
own eyes.
when you make such claims.
All of the information is publicly available. We do have reporters on the ground who've seen these strikes with their
Filmed them, documented them.
own eyes. I do want to keep moving, though, and talk about security guarantees, an issue that you
What a joke.
raised this week, and you have
What a
said right
joke.
here today that Russia should have the power to reject any security guarantees for Ukraine.
don't-
The Europeans
please,
say
please,
it's
please.
none of your business.
Please, don't misconstrue. We only want to stop the Ukraine war machine. Don't you understand this? Do you not understand what you're trying to do? War machine. God. I'll be right back. I'm going to the toilet. I'm back. Lettuce says, my war machine is okay and good, but your war machine is not okay and bad, actually. Also, the invaded have started the war. Don't you see? Don't you see that it is the invaded that has started the war? Which is now a war and not a special military operation, I guess. So which is it? Which is it?
Kristen.
Let me just ask
Kristen.
Don't play Zelensky. Look, be an honest journalist.
Don't play Zelensky. Be an honest journalist. Be pro-Russian. Please, be honest. Be honest. Understand that Ukraine started war. Target civilians, and we only target Ukraine war machine. Please, can't you be a little bit more honest? Okay.
I never
Mr.
said.
Foreign
I
Minister,
never
let me
said.
ask my question, then you can answer.
I
Let me
nev-
just ask my
I am
question, then you
answering.
can answer.
I am answering the
Well, I
question
haven't
now.
asked my question yet. Why should the country that's bombing Ukraine be responsible for the security of Ukraine?
Because we own Ukraine, of course.
Why is the country and countries who prepared the anti-Russian coup in Ukraine?
What? Anti-Russian coup in Ukraine? Ukraine is not Russia. What do you mean anti-Russian coup in Ukraine? It's like saying, oh, there's an anti-Russian coup in Poland in the making. And you see, this statement alone betrays everything that I need to know, okay? What the fuck? Anti-Russian coup. It's not even just a coup, it's an anti-Russian coup.
Who pumped up modern weapons in Ukraine to attack the Russian territory. Countries who supported the Nazist regime, prohibiting
the Nazist regime. We all know about the Nazist regime.
human rights, which they had to respect under the United Nations Charter.
Yes,
and many
the
other conventions.
Nazist regime and banning of Russian language from the entirety of Ukraine.
Why should
He made a slip and admitted that the revolution was against the Russian, against the Russian regime, yeah.
we be swallowing all this? I explained to you, I never said that Russia must have a veto on security guarantees, but security guarantees must
Russia literally said that. Russia literally said that it wants a veto.
be subject to consensus. I reminded
Consensus is Ukraine no army, Ukraine very much neutral, which means pro-Russian, and give us 4 oblasts, please, and no NATO. Thank you.
that it was okay for Ukrainians in April 2022 to present a document which could have ended this war and which started by declaring that Ukraine is going to be neutral, non-block, non-nuclear. By the way, this statement, this declaration, not to have any nuclear weapons, not
Yeah, Ukraine already became non-nuclear during the Budapest Memorandum. If we're talking about brutal Ukraine history.
to be members of military blocs and to remain the neutral status, this was the essence of Ukrainian Declaration of Independence in 1990. And this
but
declaration
Mr.
of
Lavrov,
it is because of this
I think you're thinking 1991.
claim that they would never be NATO members, that they would never have nuclear weapons, and that they would be neutral, that they were recognized as independent state. So if you
But
if you
Mr.
believe
Foreign
that
Minister,
if
are
you
you
believe
talking-
that if you believe that Russia being marginalized in the discussions on security issues on our border,
Oh, Russia is so marginalized. Oh no. Russia is always the victim, the biggest of victims.
that this is something which is natural and normal, then I'm sorry, something
There's
is
no
wrong
such thing as natural, quote unquote, in international relations. What the hell does that mean, natural?
with the philosophy of your channel.
just yes or no, are you talking about Russian boots on the ground
Where?
Where?
in Ukraine, in that region?
No, Russian boots on the ground, because this ground was moved, was turned, was being turned in a stronghold to inflict strategic defeat upon the Russian Federation.
Yes, of course. There was a big full-scale invasion and preparation against Russia. Any day now, the entirety of NATO would flood the Russian Federation.
The Russian boots on the ground are not to protect the ground. They
What?
make sure that
That has to be that has to be my donation sound. Boots on the ground are not here to protect the ground. What is this libtard journalism? Ask him an actual question, please. Please, like, come on.
these are not to protect.
Listen, already the comments say that the journalist was rude and very bad. Unprofessional. Mr. Lavrov is so considerate, educated. Many American journalists seems to believe they are the main characters in their interviews. He humiliated her. So there you go. This is the comments. These are the comments. Okay? Just saying.
The Russian boots on the ground are
Why I have
not
to?
to protect the ground.
The Russian boots on the ground are not to protect the ground. I need to make this into a donation sound. Should I? My audience, should I make this into the donation sound?
The Russian boots on the ground
The Russian boots on the ground are not to protect the ground.
are not to protect the ground. They are make
Wow.
sure that this ground would never be hosting weapons capable to reach the Russian territory. Russian boots on the ground are because this ground is the territory where hundreds and hundreds of years ethnic Russians and Russian-speaking people were living. They actually founded those lands.
No, that's not true.
They historically
That is actually factually incorrect in many cases.
developed Russian culture, Russian language, and they respected Russian history.
So,
And
That is also bullshit, by the way.
when all this was prohibited after
Yeah,
the
like Crimea for hundreds of years, so Russian.
coup took place, the coup
The
which
coup.
was very bloody and very unconstitutional. We did not have any other choice but to defend these people against the bluntly Nazist regime.
Yes, bluntly Nazist regime.
That the regime is Nazist is plentiful, and I hope that some days your correspondence could visit.
Yes, show the evidence of the Nazist regime. The very clearly Nazist regime.
And see what is going on with glorification of military criminals,
Yeah.
collaborators of Hitler, and so on.
President Trump has been in office now for 7 months, and attacks against Ukraine have doubled in that time.
Whoops.
President Putin says the war wouldn't have started under President Trump. If that's the case, why is it escalating under President Trump?
That is an excellent question. I expect a brilliant answer.
It's becoming traditional for some of the broadcasting channels to simplify things.
Yes, you simplify things. We just doubled our efforts to fight Ukrainian war machine. Don't you understand this?
When President Trump said that the war wouldn't have happened had he been president at that time, that means, in my view, that the Americans would not prepare, finance, and organize the coup to topple legitimate president of Ukraine in February 2014.
What? What a slip. Oh, fuck. What a slip. I want to hear that again.
President of Ukraine in February 2014. Just one day after a deal was reached between the president at that time and the opposition, the deal guaranteed by the European Union, Germany, France, Poland, and so on. And next morning, the opposition broke the deal.
No, it did not break the deal. It actually did not break the deal. What actually happened is Yanukovych fled while the deal was still in place and in power. Nobody broke the deal. If anything, Yanukovych broke it by fleeing the country. Sir, please, sir, glug, 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 but sir, please, sir, some American journalist talking an interview with top diplomat Lavrov, an actual true story.
The deal was to create a government of national unity and hold early elections. And legitimate president agreed to this.
Yeah, and then fled the country the next day. Nobody broke that agreement, actually. Believe it or not. This story is also well documented.
Opposition signed this, European Union guaranteed this. Next morning there is a coup. And then
next morning, without warning, without saying anything to anybody, Yanukovych just fled.
Government of national unity, the opposition announced that we created the government of the winners. Have you heard about this? I don't think so. They immediately stated, when they took over all government buildings, that their first action...
Yeah, what happened before that? Oh yeah, Yanukovych fled.
Canceling the status of the Russian language. And they sent military groups to storm Crimean parliament. That's how this all started. So I don't think that President Trump, with his concentration on MAGA, on the national interests of the United States, on the common sense, would ever get involved in the United States, on the common sense, would get involved in preparing a coup against legitimate president in any country, including Ukraine.
Okay, again.
No. I am answering your question. Why did we think that President Trump would have avoided this situation? I answered you.
But I want to ask about what is happening on the ground right now. Attacks against Ukraine have doubled in the time since...
What? No, you don't understand. Once again, I will repeat to you, we have just doubled our efforts to fight the war machine.
President Trump took office.
On the ground,
if President Putin has so much regard for President Trump, why is he taking actions that are undermining his push for peace?
President Putin has regard for President Trump, respecting President Trump concentration on the interests.
What? He respects President Trump's concentration?
National interests of the United States, national interests and well-being, and historic heritage of the American people. And I
a bunch of empty slogans.
Have any doubt that President Trump respects the same attitude of President Putin to protecting national interests of Russia,
protecting
NATO,
protecting
basic interests of the Russian citizens, including the right to be a nation.
What the fuck does that mean? Since when is Russia prohibited or hampered from being a nation?
Which has very rich history.
Who's trying to stop Russia from being a nation? What the hell are we even talking about here? What? What is this nonsense?
Very rich traditions, and which has the duty...
We want to continue be a nation, and therefore we had to invade Ukraine. Thank you.
To support those who share the values of the Russian language, Russian world, if you wish.
Russian world, there it is, the Ruski Mir, the famous Ruski Mir, to which we all secretly belong, whether we like it or not.
And when once the United States launched a military attack, it was last century, a military attack against, I think, Guatemala or some other Central American countries, because one of the journalists was physically attacked, American citizen, American journalist. And this was never causing any questions in the American media. I'm protecting millions of ethnic Russian.
First of all, it's not ethnic Russians, it's Ukrainian Russian speakers, not ethnic Russians, first of all. And second of all, Russia is protecting them by bombing them every single day.
And Russian-speaking people who wanted to be citizens of Ukraine, but
we protect them with our bombs and drones, you see.
Who took power.
We protect them with the Safari initiative.
Ukraine declared them terrorists. And Zelensky, long before the special military operation, in an interview to one Western media, he said, those who are fighting the regime, who decided that the regime does not represent the interest after the coup, they are not people, they are species. And he also said that if you believe that living in Ukraine, you belong to Russian culture, Russian history, then for the sake and safety of your children and grandchildren, get out of Ukraine and go to Russia. Is it the kind of democracy the Americans support?
Yes,
because Russia is the ultimate democracy.
Mr. Foreign Minister, let me ask you about something that President Putin said in June. He said, quote, I consider the Russian and Ukrainian people to be one nation. In this sense, all of Ukraine is ours.
Please play the interpretation game, Mr. Lavrov.
Does President Putin believe that Ukraine has a right to exist?
No, this is not true. Ukraine has the right to exist, provided it must let people go. The people whom they call terrorists.
Let our people go. Okay, let our people go.
Whom they call specious, and who, during a several referenda in
under gunpoint,
Novorossiya, in Donbass.
Novorossiya, there we go. Novorossiya. We're hearing those terms.
Crimea decided.
Novorossiya. You could not be more mask off with terms like Novorossiya.
They belong.
You just cannot. Novorossiya. Not even independent republics. It's Novorossiya. Brilliant.
To the Russian culture, and the government which came to power as a result of the coup was determined as a priority to exterminate everything Russian.
But as you also know, a number of those people did not want Russia. A number of those people did not want Russia to invade. Mr. Foreign Minister, do you acknowledge that Russia invaded Ukraine?
Well, democracy is about the people, having a chance.
Well, a lot of people wanted to be invaded. Have you considered? A lot of people want to be bombed. Have you considered? And everything else is just the Ukraine military machine.
Vote. The people voted. The people pronounced themselves. And when it started in Crimea...
Did Russia invade Ukraine, Mr. Foreign Minister? Did Russia invade Ukraine?
We have started the special military operation.
Russia started special military operation.
There you go. There we go. Oh, my God.
To defend the people.
Oh my God. Of course. Listen, Vladimir says, listen, Lucy, Paul should justify your existence to Russia. It's literally that simple. I mean, that is true. Poland is part of the glorious Ruski Mir, after all. Let's not forget.
People.
That is also part of the Russian turf. By right of conquest or whatever the fuck.
Whom Zelensky and his predecessor did not consider as humans. They called them beings, species. You should look. You should really. I understand that you need something to sell today, but if you are raising and touching upon so serious things, My suggestion is to take
To be pro-Russia, okay? If you are serious, you are pro-Russia, Ruski Mir. If you are non-serious, then you are pro the so-called democracies, pro the so-called human rights.
look at the history of Ukrainian
Cool.
development after the coup in 2014.
True.
I have some material.
But it's a yes
I-
or
I have some material to share. What? Oh my goodness.
no question, Mr. Foreign Minister. Do you acknowledge Russia invaded Ukraine?
We have started the military operation.
said to you that we started special military operation to
There we go.
protect
So yes.
the people
Yes, to protect the people by bombing them every single day.
whom the regime
The
declared
regime.
terrorists and enemies and whom the regime was bombing. Look,
Bombing.
One thing about the facts. You were asking me about
The bombing
churches and so
of
on,
the regime.
allegedly bombed by Russia. One very blunt thing, the simplest on earth. And I would ask you as a journalist whether you are professionally proud of what you are doing. In April 2022, when a deal was negotiated in
Are
Istanbul,
you proud of yourself, you bitch?
but the Brits and the Biden administration prohibited Ukrainian regime to endorse this deal.
Yes, Ukraine was prohibited from completely demilitarizing, from giving up territory and all those other lovely things. It's just, you know.
There was an incident in Bucha, the outskirts.
An incident in Bucha when Russian soldiers whoopsied into shooting a bunch of civilians in the back of the head while their hands were tied behind their backs. What a whoopsie, what an incident. Also, similar incidents happened in Izium and Irpin, incidentally.
of Kiev, when, as a gesture of goodwill to make the deal I mentioned happen,
As a gesture of goodwill, we have killed a bunch of civilians and dumped them on the cold ground because it was winter at the time. It was like a gesture of goodwill.
Russians withdrew from that part of the Ukrainian territory. This
We have repeated this gesture of goodwill, as I mentioned, in Irpin and Izium.
place called Bucha was retaken by Ukrainian authorities, and the
They were is he gonna unironically say that the Ukraine retook Bucha and just murdered a bunch of civilians and blamed it on Russia? We're about to hear this. We're about to hear this unironic retelling of history, the brutal Ukraine history.
mayor of Bucha was on TV saying how good that we are back in our city. And 2 days later, BBC broadcasting team showed the images of central street of that Bucha with bodies, dozens of bodies.
Yes, we're gonna see how he spins this. We're gonna see the spinning of the story. It was all Ukraine. Ukraine did this, of course.
Laying in some interesting order.
Mm-hmm.
They immediately accused Russia. They
Well, who would they accuse? Ukraine? Would they accuse themselves?
immediately, I mean the West, introduced new package of sanctions. And we still,
Well, who would be the other suspect? Ukraine?
3.5 years thereafter, we cannot get any response to our official request to circulate, to share some information.
Yes, Ukraine should just circulate Russian misinformation. Thank you.
About what actually happened there.
Yeah, what actually happened is, and it makes perfect sense, Ukraine went in and just killed a bunch of Ukrainian civilians, thank you, and blamed it on Russia, of course. As it happens always, as it happened in Irpin and Izium as well.
Publicly, wait a second, I'm coming to NBC.
I am coming.
to NBC. Several times when I was in New York for the General Assembly sessions, I was meeting with the media, including NBC correspondents, and I said, this Bucha incident was used to raise stakes against Russia in this situation. Can you, and we requested the Secretary General of the United Nations, of OSCE, other organizations, can you make sure that the names of the persons whose bodies were shown by BBC are made public. Silence. Then I asked
What?
last year and year before last, I asked
Vladimir, wait a minute. But why does he keep calling it Ukraine? Because according to top diplomat Mr. Lavrov, it's actually called Novorossiya. I'm very confused right now. Oh, Novorossiya is those eastern lands. Donetsk, Luhansk, etc. Crimea,
that
Kherson.
at my press conference, the UN correspondents, guys, normally
Guys.
journalists are very intrusive. They would like to know facts. Can you start a journalistic investigation? Can you demand that the names of the people whose bodies were shown were broadcast by BBC?
What does that have to do with anything? Oh yeah, that will surely demonstrate that Russia did not do it.
Be made public. So I think it would be an interesting case for NBC as well.
Why?
All right, Mr. Foreign Minister, I understand there is a lot of history. We want to talk about what's going to happen next, though, and I want to talk about these discussions. There are reports as a part of the peace deal, Russia is demanding control of all of Donbass, even though much of it still remains under Ukrainian control. And Russia wants to freeze the rest of the front lines. Is that what Russia is asking for?
We explained during our meetings with President Trump, with other American officials, we explained the goals of the special military operation. Actually, we explained them to everybody publicly, but apparently NBC was not listening.
Because as we know, Russia can be so trusted that it's incredible.
Attentively. We have the goals which will be achieved. The goals are remove any security threats to Russia coming from the Ukrainian territory,
So in other words, Ukraine existed.
to protect the rights of the ethnic Russian and Russian-speaking people who believe they belong to the Russian culture and Russian history.
Oh yeah, of course. So many of them right now in
And
Ukraine.
the only way to protect them
Is to bomb them. I mean, is to annex them.
against this Nazist regime
Nazist regime.
is to give them the right to express their will. They
Yes, at gunpoint, as always.
in 2014 in Crimea, in 2022 in Donetsk and Lugansk republics,
That's
and
right.
later in Kherson and
Novorossiya.
Zaporizhzhia regions. So this is implementation of the goal of special military operation.
So the
based-
annexation of Ukrainian territory. Let's just not mince words, okay? Let's cut the bullshit and let's get to the actual real goals.
The goal is based on respect for the United Nations Charter, which says you cannot discriminate human rights in any area,
Unless
including
it's
language
Ukrainian
and
life,
religion
I
rights,
guess.
which is
Mr.
totally
Foreign
ignored
Minister?
by the regime. And then, of course,
Yes,
Just wanna be very
the regime.
clear for
we,
people.
as I said, Ukraine must remain neutral, must remain out of any military blocks, and must remain non-nuclear. Those are the stepping stones
Stepping stones.
in the Declaration of Independence of 1990.
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
those are the principles which made it possible to recognize Ukraine as an independent state. You said, let's not go into history.
Yeah, recognizing a sovereign state is not a conditional thing, okay? That is so ridiculous. The fact that he even openly says that it's under the condition of this, that, or the other is ridiculous, patently ridiculous.
We don't want forget about history, because everything which is going now has reasons in the decades and decades of years when the West was building NATO, was moving NATO
Yes,
directly
it's all anti-Russian action. Poor Russia, always the victim.
on Russian borders, and was building Ukraine as an instrument to defeat Russia in the battlefield, as it were.
Of course.
Okay, well, speaking of history, Russia was a part of the 1994 Budapest Memorandum, which guaranteed Ukraine's security, but Russia violated that agreement when it invaded Ukraine in 2014. Why should Russia be trusted with Ukraine's security?
Listen, Budapest Memorandum was a fake and gay, and we do not care about it.
And a peace agreement.
Have you read the Budapest Memorandum?
Yes.
What does it say?
There's a security agreement between a number of countries, including you and Ukraine, not to invade another country. And that's exactly what you did.
No, you don't.
We did not invade. We have started a special military operation to defend the Russian ethnic speakers.
You don't. It seems you did not read it. The Budapest Memorandum was signed by.
And Ukraine gave up its nuclear weapons, Mr. Foreign Minister.
May I answer
That was
you?
a critical piece of it.
May I answer you?
May I answer?
Ukraine gave up the nuclear weapons, exactly. And then it was the memorandum guaranteed the security of Ukraine of any other non-nuclear state. And the legal obligations of the nuclear states, they give guarantees to non-nuclear countries, is not to attack, to use nuclear weapons against non-nuclear states. We never ever signed up.
Oh, that is bullshit. The memorandum speaks of the protection of integrity of the borders, not just not attacking with that is bullshit. That is complete.
To providing security to Ukraine after illegal.
It is the Budapest Memorandum clearly states that it respects the integrity of the borders of Ukraine and that all the signatories would respect those borders.
Bloody coup d'etat, which brought to
Coup.
power open nazists and racists. And
And racists, not just nazists, but also racists. I cannot believe that the nazists and racists.
when they said that we changed our constitution, now the constitution says they would be members of NATO. Now Zelensky, in I think January 22, was saying that it was a mistake to reject nuclear weapons, and they might think about.
Yeah, it was a mistake. Yeah, looking back, yeah, absolutely.
This is not something which we guaranteed in the Budapest Memorandum. And apart from this, wait a second, please. Budapest Memorandum was accompanied by a declaration by those who signed the Budapest Memorandum, which said that all participants, including Ukraine, would respect human rights, would respect the rules of OSCE, principles of OSCE, non-aggression, and so on and so forth, which was grossly violated by those who took power in Ukraine in February 2024, 2014, with the help of the United States, when Victoria Nuland proudly stated that eventually we spent $5 billion, but we achieved what we wanted. She said this after the coup.
When?
But this is history. But this is history.
I just want to be very clear. Is
Did you on phone
only
call?
concession Russia is offering not to invade the rest of Ukraine? Is that your concession?
No, we
What is nazist? I can't find any definition. Good question.
don't speak in those terms. We don't have any interest in territories. We have the biggest territory on earth. What we are
Well,
concerned-
then why do you demand for oblasts? That is also blatant bullshit. We don't have any interest in territories, which is why we are demanding for oblasts from Ukraine.
about. Unlike those who raise the issue of invasion, taking more and more land, we are concerned about the people who live on those lands,
Oh,
whose ancestors lived there for centuries and centuries,
oh,
were founding cities, were building factories, ports, developing agriculture. And
Agriculture.
these people are now
Moscow.
called foreigners.
What about the thousands of those people who live
They're
on those
not.
lands who've been killed by Russian bombs, Mr. Foreign Minister?
Uh-oh.
Look, I'm awfully sorry, but the primitivism of questions, you repeat the same and don't.
Such primitive questions asking me about reality. Not good, journalist, not good. You're so primitive to ask me about Russia bombing Russian speakers every single day in places like Kharkiv, Kherson, and other places. No, I don't like this. I don't like this.
Question again and again. And I asked you, please kindly send me the list of those churches, the list of those kindergartens, please. And I will send you the factual information about how Ukrainian army is fighting only civilians.
Oh, the Ukrainian army is fighting only civilians.
Give you the example of the Kursk
Okay.
region. There
The
is no
Kursk region.
military sites at all. There was also a terrorist attack on the passenger train, but you never reported this.
You fucking kidding me? How many trains, passengers, trains, buses, etc. have been attacking? Whatever.
Mr. Foreign Minister, the reality is so much of this has been captured on television. We have reporters on the ground. I will send you a list as well. But the bottom line is the world has watched with its own eyes as people in all of these regions that have been taken over by Russian troops have been killed. We have seen that with our own eyes. We've watched it with our own eyes. But let me ask you.
No, I remember many images saying that Ukrainian civilians are being attacked by Russians, and then these images would turn out to be taken in Iraq 10 or 20 years ago.
Yes.
So
Yes, famous Iraq war journalist Duran Burns in Iraq filming war crimes. Okay, very nice.
my question is, do you believe NBC?
Oh, he didn't say the primitiveness of the Christians. He said of the questions. He just has a very, very thick accent. But he says the primitiveness of the questions.
Your policy, does it provide for acceptance, the extermination by law of a language in any country?
Yes. Because Russian is so exterminated that I totally don't hear it every single day in Ukraine.
Mr. Foreign Minister, I want to just ask you, when you landed in Alaska.
I mean, everything that this guy has said during this was uncalled for and random, but, you know.
You were wearing a USSR sweatshirt. Were you sending a signal that Russia wants to reestablish the former Soviet Union?
No, we were born in the Soviet Union. President Putin repeatedly stated that.
Yeah, I was born in the Polish People's Republic, and yet you don't see me wear a "I love Polish People's Republic" shirt, okay?
Those who are not sorry of what happened to the
Jesus.
Soviet Union, they don't have a heart. But those who want to restore the Soviet Union, they don't have any brains. This is absolutely correct statement. We have recognized all the former Soviet republics.
And stole a bunch of their territories. And some of them don't exist anymore as independent, like Chechnya. Remember Chechnya? That used to be a thing for a short while, until it didn't.
Independent states, we develop relations with them as...
Yeah, like with Georgia, with Moldova, all those lovely relations that we have developed with these countries. Remember? We just... they just decided gracefully to share their territory with us.
Dependent states. But when countries like Ukraine
or Georgia or Moldova
begin to, physically exterminating everything Russian.
Everything Russian has been just exterminated, of course.
As if I don't know, in any country, English language would be prohibited. History would be prohibited. American history would be prohibited.
What a joke. What a joke to say that Ukrainian as a language is prohibited in Ukraine.
This is not the case. The Soviet Union, and if you don't remember your...
Yeah, because they didn't make print t-shirts back then. I'm saying you don't see me wearing them now.
If you don't have nostalgic, memories about your childhood, about your youth, about your first love, about your friends, then I don't think you really represent humanity.
Oh, yeah.
Human values.
Yeah. Russia is gonna lecture me on human values and representing humanity. Thank you, I'll pass. Also, nacist sounds like some kind of racist, but to a nation, if I had to guess. No. He's actually unironically trying to say Nazi regime. Okay? A Nazi regime. But his accent is so horrible that instead of Nazi, he'd say nacist. Naziist. Or something he's trying to say, but he's saying nacist instead. Lucy's not human, true.
To remember and to cherish what happened in your life for many years is not the same as to try to take over militarily each and every place. This is not true.
Yeah, the fact that we have taken up a chunk of Georgia, Moldova, and now Ukraine, that means nothing. And Chechnya, let's not talk about Chechnya.
Does President Putin want peace?
Yes.
And what say you to U.S. lawmakers here who believe you are stringing along President Trump? Are you?
I say you are naive.
It is not for the lawmakers or for any media outlets to decide, you know.
True.
What
It is
President
only for Mother Russia to decide. Okay? If anybody will decide, it will be Mother Russia and nobody else. Thank you.
Trump
Yes.
is motivated by. We respect President Trump because President Trump defends.
We respect President Trump because President Trump threw Ukraine under the bus, just like we like, and renewed diplomatic relations with Russia, just like we like. Vladimir says, I'm just going to ask in advance, Lucy, are you going to react to another video, or you currently have enough stuff to do? I have a lot to do, but if you have a video, I'll react to it. If you have a video, I will react to it. I'm flexible.
American national interests, and I have reason to believe that
The American national interest of throwing Ukraine under the bus and kowtowing to Russian interest, of course. That's the best. Make America great again.
President Trump respects President Putin because he defends Russian national interests. And whatever they discuss between themselves is not...
They are defending Russian national interests by tanking the Russian economy and sending Russian people to their deaths by the thousands. Thank you.
is not a secret. We want peace in Ukraine. President Trump wants peace in Ukraine. The reaction to Anchorage meeting, the gathering in Washington of these European representatives, and what they were doing after Washington indicates
Disgusting Europeans.
They say we cannot allow defeat of Ukraine. We cannot allow Russia to win. They speak in these terms.
Yeah,
Win, defeat,
rightfully so. Yeah, it's just, what the fuck is going on?
and so on and so forth. We proposed several times peaceful resolution.
Yeah,
on a
by Ukraine giving up peacefully. Peaceful surrender of Ukraine.
diplomatic basis. And as I said, it was not us who blowed up the deal
Blowed up.
practically already in April 2022. It was personally Boris Johnson, and it was
The Boris Johnson line, of course, being propagated one again. It was Boris Johnson that destroyed it all.
personally several officials from the Biden administration, the French and the Germans. We know this. Anything else?
Anything else on the agenda?
Those are all of my questions. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei
Thank you.
Lavrov, thank you so very much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully next time we can see you in person.
Come to Moscow. But,
Oh my God.
Okay.
But ask your people to give you some more variety of questions, you know. And history is important because it is very tempting to use cancel culture in addressing the Ukrainian situation. Forget about
Really? Cancel culture. Oh, you're just trying to cancel Russia when discussing this war. It's just cancel culture run amok. What a way to end this shit show. It is just cancel culture, you see.
the coup, as they were telling us. You must, you know,
We should be discussing the coup. We should be discussing Russia only targeting military target. And now instead you try to cancel Russia. Cancel culture gone too far. Too far.
deoccupy Crimea because everything started with annexation of Crimea. We tell them, what about the coup, which was implemented again?
It's ending in less than a minute.
Your guarantees. They said, no, this is past us. Let's
Cancel
concentrate
culture.
on today. It's a very usual trick that people say.
Yes, it's a trick of cancel culture.